Good evening, Shaggy SoCal 2Old4Forza, and time for the next track guide for this season of TNT in the Mazda Lola B12. This week we are racing Circuit de la Sarthe, and I think Matt specifically chose this one just because it does, dovetail nicely with the actual 24-hour Le Mans that's going to be this weekend. So we won't be going as quick, but it should be an interesting race. I'm also doing a little experimentation. I don't know what's been going on with Twitch the last week or two, where the audio is cutting in and out. Now, it's not just headset volume, it's the game volume, which makes me think it's probably Twitch. Doesn't seem to do it. I don't notice it like when I do my normal streams during the races. So I'm just trying to sort out the differences. One of them usually is I don't have the camera on during the races, during the Thursday races. The other one is I do a wireless headset versus the wired. So I'm actually going to try this one on the wired headset with the camera, and I'm just kind of playing around, trying to figure out what's going to be the right combo. Then the thing with like these headphones, these are my older headphones. They don't cut the noise. The rest, the wheels are a lot louder. I can hear all the rattles, whereas the other headset cuts that out a bit. But we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, I won't forget to reach over and move this, move the stick on the other controller here every so often, just to make sure the controller doesn't turn off. Sorry, I have a little moth thing flying around here, so last thing I want is to ingest that while I'm on stream, because that would be nice. So again, what we're going to do is I'm just going to go out and run. I'll probably just run, just given the length of Le Mans, I'm probably just going to do one out lap. Kind of talk through that. Then I'll do kind of a semi-slow track, walk, track walk. There's a lot of straightaways. So I'm not going to be like, and here's where you hold the throttle down for 20 seconds as you go down the Mulsanne. But let's go ahead and get into test drive and see what we got. So yes, I am a wuss. I'm going to run traction control again, just because. Again, I've not, with the pedal setup, I haven't gotten really the sensitivity. You don't get the same wheel spin feel that you do off the controller. So second gear through the Dunlop chicane. I'm just going to keep it to the left side across the hill, heading down here. Again, braking line's pretty good. Brake right at the dark spot there, down to third. Keep it to the inside, opens this corner up. Back up here, fourth gear. Heading towards Tete Rouge. You cannot do this flat. You're going to have to give it a little brush brake, turn in, roll back in as you get to the apex, and you're onto the Mulsanne. Now I tend to just, I try to minimize my steering gun on the Mulsanne, so I'll let the car go all the way out to the left, let it arc back, kind of apex the first part of that first little curve onto the Mulsanne, then let it kind of naturally on its own come back out to the left side. Again, braking right about the 100 board where the braking line says to brake. So fifth gear, we'll go down to third. We'll leave it in third because I think with the torquiness here, pushing a little bit. I think the torquiness of this motor, you can do the chicanes in third. I think when I was first doing it, I would drop it to second as I get to the middle part of the chicane. That might be fine to do in traffic, but I think on your own, if you're just setting your own laps, try it in third. But again, I think it's one of those, find out what works best for you and what you can do most consistently. Same thing here, into third gear. A little bit better there, roll back into the throttle. Use all of the exit, try to be neat on the curbs. None of the curbs, there's a couple of curbs that are sketchy later in the lap, but for the most part, at least I'm not always good at it. I'm going to try and be neat and tidy and not try to abuse the curbs here, just because I think it unsettles the car enough where it might impact your speed. All the way out, I think I could brake a little bit later there. Totally missed the apex. Second gear, off the Mulsanne onto the Indianapolis straight. And I think they call this little thing the Corvette Golf. Corvette du Golf. My French is horrible, I'm sorry. Alright, now we're heading down, heading off the Indianapolis straight, heading into the Indianapolis corner. This is flat. Flat, flat, flat. Brake. effortless corner, third gear out, bring the car back to the left, down to second gear for our nage, use the curving there a little bit, and out of there. That's actually the best I've taken it since I did about 3 laps before getting on stream. I think that's the best I've taken it so far. And I usually just let the car drift out a little bit, fifth gear. This is going to be the fun one. It's going to take me a bit to figure out. But Porsche curves, you can't really go in flat, and I've just turned in way too early. But once you're in, it's really, you can almost do it flat. You might just give a little confidence lift. Definitely have to be off the gas here. Roll back in, downshift fourth. I'm downshifting fourth. I may try that in fifth. Now the Porsche curve. That's going to be an area I think where there's going to be a lot of as they call comers and goers. And the third gear here, that could have been a little bit better. Down to second. Ooh, got a little too aggressive on the throttle, got back to traction control. So that's a lap in Le Mans. So let's slow it down a little bit and just talk about, I'm going to kind of relate to some of it because we've been here several times before in cars with that are much slower and have much less downforce and therefore slide a lot more. So heading up for the curve up to the Dunlop chicane. Normally, most of the other cars that I've raced here or that we've raced here recently, I'm usually, whether it's the full Le Mans circuit or if it's the Bugatti circuit, usually they don't have as much downforce. So I'm going to try. I will cheat across the white line here, use as much of the track as the game's going to let me without getting a penalty to open up this first corner. We've got massive amounts of downforce on this car. There is no need to go all the way out. So you can be neat and tidy here. This would be one of those that, from a racing situation in your own practice, put the car in the middle of the road and see if you can make the corner. Put it on the inside, see how you make the corner. See how much you can get it, how far to the inside can you make this corner and still be set up for the Dunlop chicane if you're forced in the inside to try and pass somebody heading into this curve, or even if you're trying to defend. Hey, I'll let you have the outside. I know I can still make the turn on the inside. So who knows? Maybe I'll play with that here in the mock race. But regardless, foot to the floor it here, bring the car out get the car out here to the right side. I'm braking again. It's still, for me, it's still about where these total signs are. So if it's between that really big one there at the top left of the screen and the course condition light there. So it's kind of like, as far as static references, if I can't see the line, that's what I'm looking for. So fifth gear down to second. Turn the car in, and my intent is to try and cut this curve a little bit, cheat a little bit as much as I can to the left. Opens up the second part of the Dunlop chicane, still in second gear out. Maybe use a little curving there, up, out there, across the hill, down the hill. The braking line is pretty good guidance there. Keep it to the left side, bring it back across to the right. Apex here. Now heading into this next set of corners, if you look just before, you can see if you look out ahead, you can see kind of the access road that's going to come down through the gravel trap to the circuit. Just before that, you can kind of see the kind of like a black blob there. Think of it this way: people getting on the brakes and they're scraping the splitters into the ground. That kind of lines up very nicely with the braking line. So that's the other thing is I'm looking at the braking line, but I'm also looking for that splotch going. If I've gotten a good run, that's definitely where I have to brake. So it is a quick brake here, downshift, get the car slowed down. The entry in here, again, the guidance line is actually pretty good. You actually want to late apex this as best you can. Rolling back in the throttle, you're going to be full throttle through here. Cross here, try and stay off the curbing, a little bit of a bump, going to crest over the hill, it's going to crest down, come down the hill here, and then we're setting up for Tete Rouge. Arguably the most important turn on the track because it leads onto the longest straight. Now, what I was talking about earlier, one of the things I was trying to adapt what at Long Beach they call the Rossi line. So at Long Beach, when you come out of the Fountain Complex and you're kind of going back the opposite direction on Shoreline, and you make that nice sharp left-hander for I guess that's technically turn 6. to head in front of the convention center across the hill. There's a little bit, as you're coming to that, you can kind of cheat a little bit over and use a little bit of the access road that the safety vehicles have there to kind of open up that braking into the turns. And Rossi was kind of the first one, he started doing that, and then everybody's like, ooh, that actually, it, and again, anything you can do to open the corner up. So they called that the Rossi line. So I was experimenting with it here. Is is there enough room here to snake the car over to open that up? And really, there isn't. So I'm spending all this time talking about the Rossi line. It doesn't work here. But what you'll do, you'll be in fourth gear. It is for me right now. It is as kind of correlating with the braking line. It is right where the grass starts here from this access road on the left. So it is a quick brush brake, turn the car in. I'm off the throttle. I'm probably, if I've done it right, I am going to use a little bit of the inside curb. Obviously, we've all hit the bread loafs there on the way inside, so we definitely want to stay off of those. If I've done it right, just before I get to the apex, I should be able to get back to full throttle, let the car come out to the left side, and flirt with the line. Actually, my opinion is I don't mind using the curbs on the inside at the apex because I'm only on them for a second. But I really, as much as I can, I'm going to try and stay off the curbing on the outside. You can see the way it's kind of ridged there. It will unsettle the car, and because this is so critical getting onto the Mulsanne, anything I can do to keep, to get this car smoothly out of Tete Rouge, means stay off the curbing. Obviously, if I go way past it, you're going to hit the bread loaves there on the extreme left there, and then at that point you're dirtying the lap anyway. So anyhow, that's Tete Rouge, on to the Mulsanne. So again, usually I'll just let the car naturally come back over, maybe inside here, let it come out, and then maybe just gently turn it in again, kind of apex a little bit on the inside, let it push back out. That's up to you. Obviously if you're in traffic or you're trying to draft somebody, your line's going to be different. So braking for the first chicane, for static reference that I look for that seems to line up, at least for me, is the 100 boards. There's 200, there's 100. So if you've gotten a good exit out of Tete Rouge, you're going to be braking right as you pass the 100 board. And fifth gear, down to third, get the braking done. Into the chicane, I'm going to stay off the curbing there. Now this is where I was talking about, I think on your own, and if you've got your braking right, you should be able to stay in third through all the way through the chicane back onto the Mulsanne. If you think you're pushing a little bit or you've carried too much speed in, drop it to second. Get the car on its toes a little bit more and help with the turning. Either one works. I think third, if you get it right, is still a little bit quicker because you're in the higher gear. You've got more revs to play with. Turbo diesel, a lot of torque down low. So, but I am going to try and use a little bit of this inside curbing if I can. Roll back in the throttle. Hopefully don't get too aggressive where I get traction control to kick in. Bring the car out. Try and stay off the inside curbing. That's a bad habit of mine. Let the car come all the way out to the left side. And back on the Mulsanne. And we're heading down to the next chicane. Second chicane is very much like the first one, where I think you can do it in third gear all the way through. Second, if you're in traffic, or if you've gotten your braking wrong, you just need a little extra help getting the car turned. Unfortunately, the brake zone doesn't line up quite as nicely because we're not carrying as much speed. So you're going to pass the 200 board, you're going to pass the 100 board. The braking is pretty late. I think it's right about. I'm probably relying on the braking line a little bit more here. That I'm not looking at that and then looking for my static references, but I think. Just as I come down the Mulsanne, we pass the 100 board there. It's usually the first, telephone pole there that's kind of just to the right of the mirror that I see flash out of view. That seems to be about where I'm braking. So I don't know how much I'll rely on that, but that's what I look for. But again, down to third gear. Turn the car in. You can use a little bit of the inside curbing here. Try and this will be the experiment. I think where they've put the bollards there is the apex you want to aim for. Unfortunately, I can probably guarantee you those bollards will not be there super long during the race. I would not be surprised by the time bucket 6 gets here that those are going to be scattered, all over the place. But if you notice, at least perception-wise, it's a late apex. So when you cheat the first part in a little bit, wind this up a little bit so you can late apex the exit, and hopefully shoot yourself back across. Try and stay off the inside curbing there. Let the car come all the way out. Sometimes, depending on how much speed I'm carrying, I will straddle this line. Again, if you're running hood view, you can go pretty far over the line before, it dings you for track limits. And it's just because the camera's so far forward compared to, say, like the Falcon we just ran. So, bring the car back over the left side. Last part of the Mulsanne to the Mulsanne corner. And for me, what I'm looking to do as far as braking is very, very late here. Is you're going to be full throttle, and what I'm looking for is the curbing on the right side here. The Falcon or some of the slower GT cars, usually I'd be braking as I'd be getting to the start of this curbing. Not with this car. I'm going to be braking at the start of this curbing, or it's going to be about here at the latest. I think I might brake a little bit sooner. But the philosophy for me is the same, and I think once I kind of get into rhythm, and we'll see how it plays out. Again, the car's got a lot of grip to it, so I don't know that I need to do as much, about as wide as I've done in other cars. But usually what I'm trying to do is I'm going to come here, I'm going to brake in a straight line back across the track, and I want to get aggressive enough with it where even if I come out and straddle the line here, down to second gear, obviously I'm trying to open this corner up as much as I can so that in second gear when I turn in, I can get back to throttle, late apex it, get back to throttle sooner, and get a better exit out down the Indianapolis straight. So we'll see how well I do during the race. Again, since this car does have a lot more aero grip and mechanical grip to it, I may not need to go all the way out and cross the line to be able to make that turn and still carry good speed out. So we'll see how it plays out in the race. But now heading down the Indianapolis straight. Again, it's got two little kinks to it, so up to you, depending on what you're doing in traffic. But normal line, just go ahead and take that out, let the car come back across. Cross back over again, and now we're heading down into, I don't know that this first curve, if they call it, I don't know what they call this first curve, but this one you are going to take flat. This one's going to take, it took me like, can I do this flat? Because the braking line is going to tell you need to brake. And I will tell you the braking line lies. You do not need to brake for this corner if you get your line right and you get your turn in right. So, foot to the floor, turn the car in, and late apex it so that you exit all the way, that you exit on the right side of the course. You don't want to go all the way over and try and have to come all the way back. You got plenty of downforce. Just late apex it, get it to the right side, and set it for the next corner. Now I will say that braking for the next corner, just the braking line's pretty accurate. I don't have any other reference point. As soon as I see red, I'm braking, but it's going to be probably right about here, right before the curbing. That yellow curbing is dangerous. We're running pretty low as far as the ride height. Under braking, you're going to have a little more. The front's going to be even a little bit lower because all the weight's shifting to the front. You're getting down to third. Cheat in a little bit. Keep the right side off that curbing, because if you hit it, it's going to upset it. It is a pretty dramatic thump and can catch you by surprise if you're not expecting it. But for me, this could be third gear if you get your braking right, second gear if you need it. So to me, this is like the chicanes. I'll probably do it in third on my own. I might do it in second if I'm in traffic. All the way in, late apex, apex this, roll out, second gear, third gear, or third gear out of that corner. You don't necessarily need to shift to fourth. Braking for Arnage is right where the curbing begins. So just past the 50, but right about where the curbing begins is where you're going to brake. This is the second curb that you got to be careful of. I've had it happen. I've had it happen in practice with this car. There is a weird, nasty bump out there on the left. That the same thing. You're kind of under braking, and it's right as you're about starting to turn in. That if you hit it right, it's going to pitch the back of the car out sideways, and you may end up doing a four-wheel drift through the corner. If you have traction control, then the traction control is going to kick in like a sledgehammer and just kill any momentum you have. So I would say neat and tidy, just cheat a little bit in and try to stay off that curb. Use the white dotted dash lines as your kind of like the edge as far as how far over you want it to be. But this is also then third down to second. Try and abuse as much of this range as you can. Roll back in the throttle. Don't hit the tire barriers that are on the left side. Stay off the curving, and now you're out of Arnage and heading onto Porsche curves. Now for me, the line, I usually just stay here on the left side, and then as the curve kinks to the left, I just let the car drift out to the right side, kind of open that up a little bit, and then it's going to kink again slightly. I'll bring it back across and bring it up to the left side. This is where I'm still trying to figure out the entry to the Porsche curves. I don't think you can do it flat. I have not been able to do it flat, though. You don't have to brake either, and you don't have to come completely out of the throttle. This is a balance entry. So now, in the other thing I'm having to unlearn is usually I tend to use the course condition light here that I'm passing on the left side as kind of my turn-in point. That's too soon. This is a much later turn-in, and I'm still trying to find it. So I'm going to be looking at poles. I'm going to be looking at anything here that I can get to, but for me, I think what seems to work is you're going to turn in, you're still going to be on full throttle, and just after you turn in, you're going to just, you know, when I get into rhythm, if you really are paying attention, or if you do really watch what I do, watch my throttle trace and see how far I come out of the throttle. And it's not a panic like I got to come out. It's usually just a little bit of a lift. I'm guessing the game might see it as like at least maybe a third out of the throttle. I don't know if I come completely halfway out, but it's just enough. It's just enough to give the front that little bit of a extra grip that it needs to get into the Porsche curves. And then when I feel like I'm comfortably in, then I can roll back into the throttle. But it is fifth gear. I'm not downshifting to fourth. I think you can do this in fifth. And once you're in, the braking line is going to be a good guidance as far as where you need to be. And it's going to be one of those, I'm always, for me, most of the Porsche curves, I'm going to try and do it flat, and I'm only going to come out of the throttle if I feel the car starts to push. If I think the car's going to push, it's just a little crack of the throttle, not a big lift. It's just a teeny lift, little lift. It's the car back in line. I can roll back in. So you're going to see a lot of that kind of balancing through here. I think it's possible once you get into the Porsche curves, if you get your line perfectly correct, you could probably do most of this flat. At least these next two corners. This left-hander you should be able to do flat. Let the car come all the way out to the right side. Again, turn in here. It's this next corner that you're going to have to slow down. I think honestly, I think all you really need to do is roll out of the throttle and downshift to fourth. Puts it back again, because it puts the rev reins back up. You get engine braking, and that helps slow the car down. And then it's just rebalancing and rolling back into the throttle. Once you feel that the car's set in the corner and comfortable, you can roll back into the throttle. You might even be able to just ease off the throttle in fifth. But as you come out of this corner, keep it to the right side, and right about where you can kind of see right about where it straightens out for me. If you're in fifth, it's a quick brush break down to fourth. That's for me. If I'm in fourth, then it's just a quick brush break. But this next one, I think I'm more comfortable in this in fourth gear. So it's down to fourth, turn the car in. I'm going to try and use as much of the inside as I can get away with. I can get on the curb a little bit there. What I'm deathly afraid of is carrying so much speed on exit that I get on the rumble strips on the outside. I mean, we know how treacherous these can be. I think I've had a spin out or almost lose control in the GT40 when we were running those. But because this car's running as low as it is with the splitter, you're going to get out there and it's just going to catch on the rumble strips there and kill your speed, slow down. Obviously, you get too far over, it's a track limit violation anyway. But really aim to trying to use the inside corner so that you have room on exit and try and keep this neat and tidy. So fourth gear, bring it back up to fifth. Usually I'll just keep it to the right and just kind of naturally can go through here, out. Heading down to Ford chicane and the end of the lap. I'm going to be braking, if I do it right, I'm going to brake right at the start of this inside yellow attenuator, but where the yellow paint starts to separate the main circuit from the pit lane entry. That's what I'll be braking. 5th gear down to 3rd. And just in. Curbs here a little bit, curbs here a little bit. We'll back up. Then I get to the end of the curbing here down to 2nd. And what I'm doing is, I think the key to getting the Ford chicane right is getting, when you get the turn in, I want my turning straight so that I can lift and get in here. It'd be easier for me to describe when I get up to speed and go through and say, okay, what I just did, that was the right way to do it. Because you want to be able to get back to the throttle here and let the car come out to the left side. You don't want traction control kicking in if you've got it on, or if you don't, very easy for the wheel spin to hit in the back end to get swirly. But it is kind of like a turn in straight, turn in out. If you do it right. If I do it right. So, but we'll get into that there. But that's a lap of Le Mans. This is going to be very much like most of the other races. Well, I would say most of the other races. It's the same for all the races. Consistency counts. But I think given how long this lap is here and how spread out we're going to be, probably. Because even if I'm starting 4 minutes back in bucket 6, I think bucket 1's the only going to be is the only cars that are going to pass us before we start. If we're starting like 4 minutes back or so, maybe bucket 2. I don't know. We'll have to see what Matt does for the delays. But that's a lap of Le Mans. Excuse me. Let me get out of test drive. I haven't talked about pit lane. I have no idea what that's going to be like, but we'll find that out together. So let me go and finish test drive. Now, just to spice things up for this race, I'm going to do something a little different. Reload and accept. Yes. Hopefully this works. If not, I'll back completely out. Yeah, it looks like we're all in. Okay. I gotta go and take mods off. So, we've already had one night race this season. Matt likes messing with us, and it's been known to rain during Le Mans. So I think what I'm going to do for this race is, first off, get rid of the mods. Don't need those. Get clean racing. Yeah, I won't be earning that one. Let's get out of here. So what I'm going to do is, so I gave you kind of the dry lap. I'd say practice that. I think this one's just more for my own benefit. Maybe spice the stream up a little bit. Maybe it'll be more interesting that with rain. But I'm going to run a 9-lap rain race here. We'll start with heavy thunderstorms and lightning. Very, very frightening. Galileo. And then over the course of the 9 laps, it'll hopefully get to a dry circuit. So hopefully the last lap or two is kind of back in the dry. Still won't be as quick as a true dry race, since we can't change tires in this game. Hopefully next Forza we'll be able to do that. But we'll see how things pan out. So let's get 9 laps started. Click a little bit so I don't forget, so I don't lose audio. So again, same bucket, same cars. Starting up front. Now we're going to send the Forza P2 group out. 30 seconds behind them will be Forza P1. And they'll start at 30 seconds, and then 55 seconds we'll have 3 very lovely 2017 Indy cars. There's Will Power's car, and Scott Dixon and James Hinchcliffe. Their 2017 ride. So 2 Hondas and a Chevy. And then 5 seconds behind them, I will start. I am not expecting to do well in this race, and now that I think about it, maybe I should have adjusted the bucket slightly, but we'll see. Certainly, I think I'll have pace on the P2 cars, and maybe hopefully they'll hold up everybody else until I can get caught up. Otherwise, this could just be a very interesting hot lapping session. So let's get started. Oh, that's the other thing. Since they started in heavy rain and thunder and lightning, I gotta watch for puddles. And while I have traction control on, I don't have stability on. Ooh, a little puddle there on the right side. Ooh. Oh, the understeer is real. I can barely see the apex of that roof. I want to do second just to... Oh! Hey, guess what? There's a puddle there. Okay. Found the puddle. And while I will be running traction control, I'm not running stability control, so I still gotta be careful. Alright, so I need to watch puddles. Yeah, I mean, my practice laps have all been in the bone dry, so I've not done rain with this car here ever. So I'm learning as I go. Turn. Makes me wonder when I want to face down here, getting into Indianapolis, whether there's hostile puddles. There's another puddle. There's another puddle. First. At least until I get a little more comfortable. There's another puddle. I'm not even going to try and describe it. Just being stupid there. And again, it's like I still am turning in too early in the entry of the Porsche curves. Now, especially because it's wet, it just exacerbates my my lack of driving skill. Am I going to beat the Indy car out? Probably not. Nope. But I got a huge run. Maybe I can run him off the track here through the Dunlop chicane. That's a track penalty there, dude. Come on. I'm better than this. So yeah, having to brake a lot earlier obviously because there's not as much grip. Now let's see if I can actually get out of the first chicane without spinning out. Still carrying a little too much speed on the mid there. I get in fine, but then I need to actually just be a little more patient. The middle of the chicane, so the car doesn't push wide on the exit. I'll get a better exit and more speed, get better lap time. So yeah, in the rain, you definitely, if it's raining and there's puddles, that second chicane you're going to want to really hug the curbing on the inside of the apex. There's a car width there, and you can kind of use the puddle as a guide to keep you to the inside. That's a little better. Oh, that's not. Hey, whatever, be very careful if you have to scratch your nose. Don't scratch your nose in a thunderstorm exiting Mulsanne. I'm just going to keep it in the middle of the track and avoid the puddles. How about that? That's good. Alright, now I can move over. Over here, it pushes a little bit. Move it into the middle here and try and avoid puddles. As I hit one that's in the middle of the track. I can't win. Alright, let's see if we do this a little better this time. Late turn in. But not full speed. So, if you find yourself in the gravel on the entry to the push curves, just head right to this nice handy patch of tarmac and make your way out. Just make sure your entry is a safe re-entry. And that's why you stay off the curving on the outside. You almost look like the rear end got up in the air. Not 408, but still just. Ugh. Maybe I'll get the Porsche curves right this time. 3 laps in. So I think the weatherman said that there was an 80% chance that the weather was going to lighten to a drizzle. We'll see. See what happens over the course of the lap here. Oh wait, duh, what am I doing? Left side. Do it in third this time. Yeah, the back end. Ah! This is why you tune in, right? You get to see all my stupid mistakes. Again, I'm just so used to using all of the inside there on the exit. You really can't if it's going to rain. There are puddles. I was going to say, it's like, oh, I got a better exit that time. The nice thing is, at least in looking at the leaderboard, or at least the gap, I am making up time to the lead. Hopefully, maybe late in the race, I might be able to pass some cars. A little bit of understeer. Alright, so heading on Indianapolis Straight, we want to keep it a little bit more to the middle because there's puddles there on the left side there. And there's another one a little bit further down, just past this camp. Yeah, now I can move over. And then, yeah, very tough to keep the car to the right side if you're carrying speed through there just because of the lack of grip. That one's not so bad. All right, third time's the charm. You know what? This time I'm going to put it down in fourth and brake. I think that's the problem is I'm expecting the car to just to grip up and it's not. But fourth gear's fine. He's off the throttle there. A little bit of wheel spin. I think it's probably safest, at least right now, to just keep the car in the middle of the track. Again, since this is a road, public road, it's going to have a nice crown to it, so there'll be less water in the middle than on the sides. But when we get down to the edge here, down to the chicane, place your bets. Can I get out of the chicane without spinning the car out? Yep. And really, it's just don't cross the white line. Look at that! I'm already 5 seconds up on my previous best lap. Take a little more conservative out of there. Still think I can brake a little bit later there. I just don't trust the brakes or trust me on the brakes. Middle of the track. Goes on the left. The puddle. Okay. Now let's just move it over to the right side here and avoid the puddle that is lurking and hit the one on the other side. There we go. Getting good. Little lift and of course get a little engine braking help. A little too aggressive there on the throttle. At 357, finally. So I'm actually going to pit at the end of this lap. And again, the AI has a very strange line exiting pits. That's quite the legal way to do that. Killing my in lap, dude. That Nissan should outrun me. Yeah. It's a shame they can never get that program to work. I would have liked to have seen, you know, how good or even how bad that Nissan really would have been if everything was working. But yeah, he's way gone. The white line, stay off the white line. Remember, frame of field of view is a lot further forward in hood view, so that line, the line is closer to your tires than it appears to be. I'm going to pit anyway, so it's not like, you know, any positions I gain on the cars in front of me, if I happen to pass before the end of the lap, I'm going to get right back up. But a little too much. Knowing the drivatars, they will be slow through these next couple of corners. I'll probably catch them going into the Porsche curves, which that's going to be fun. Puddle. There we go. Hey, I missed them both. I'm going to try and I'll need to brake. Yeah. Probably still worth doing a downshift to fourth. This is where I think when we get into the race, patience through here is going to be key. No point in trying to pass him. Now, let's see. Oh, what are you doing? Pit lane. Racing. Probably, you know, you're going to have to brake here. Obviously, we won't have the tire barriers there. and I've got no real guidance since I'm doing it in a thunderstorm. So just pay attention. You're not going to get any help from the. You're not really going to get any help from a braking line. So I would say just pick out landmarks. So look for white lines joining and to figure out where you need to brake for it, because obviously you will, unless you want to just blow over and just beeline it straight in. But that would be bad form. That would not be gentlemanly. Drink to the beverage. And again, I'm exiting straight onto the circuit, but again, we will be using the actual pit lane exit. Braking is going to be about the same place where that total sign is. Just remember that it is cold tires. The car's not going to want to turn. You know, it's not going to want to make that initial hard left-hand turn. And you may even need to breathe the throttle a little bit heading up the hill. I would practice when we hit Thursday night. I think a lot of just plan on getting there a little bit early and just run a couple laps to refresh your memory, but definitely spend time getting in and out of the pits. Any advantage you gain there, it's if you're what's a second in these cars at the speeds we're doing, you could leapfrog somebody just because you got in and off the pit lane faster. Then I'm flirting with the curbs there, and I really shouldn't. Now, hopefully, if I set the weather correctly, we should be starting to dry out. Curbs and puddles. Curbs and so either I brake too soon and I'm giving up time because I brake too early, or I'm braking too late. I haven't found the Goldilocks braking yet. That's about the best I've taken that. Well, one thing's I will not be finishing dead last, at least. Oh, nice run onto the Mulsanne. Wow, that's a first. Usually the Penske Porsches aren't as quick in a straight line as I am. But they still brake earlier. Because they know I'm going to hit the curb and spin out. And again, this is just a lot of my issues with that is just what I'm used to doing in the dry, I can't do in the wet. And I have to unlearn what I've learned. Ooh, it's not raining. Hopefully, I don't know that we're going to have I don't think the circuit's going to be completely dry right into left 9. Maybe one can hope that we get maybe a dry line with smaller puddles. That would be nice. Okay, so 2.5 laps left. I'm in 23rd. I'm sure there's still cars that are going to need to hit, so I still might pick up a couple positions that way. But hopefully get a couple of chances to set up some good passes. Oops, I gotta leave it in 6. Doesn't change that at all. See how he hit that puddle? I don't know if the puddle alone is what got me the momentum past him, but still needing to brake. Oh, big run. Excuse me. Avatars. Oh wow, we are in the thick of it. So it looks like one of the Indy cars is having trouble navigating traffic. So what I can hope for at this point, and just kind of looking at the traffic in front of me, obviously anywhere where there's curves, I'm going to have an advantage over all of the driver cars. It's getting on the Mulsanne that's going to be interesting. They're going to be really slow out of Tête Rouge. Oh, that'd be a time penalty, but I just didn't time the run right. As Mazda tries to take me out. But yeah, what I was trying to do is time that, knowing that they were going to be slow, but they were pretty much going to stay on the normal line, that I would look for that undercut on exit. And I just, a little too close. Would have been a time penalty. Would have been probably a big time penalty. Stay off the white line. Yep, looks like the Indy car's kind of gotten bogged down in P1 traffic and P2 traffic. Oh, Will, what are you doing? Man, I'm trying to build a run-up. Get a massive run down the Mulsanne. My really bad Australian willpower-ish accent. Alright, so again, they're going to be slow in the corners. Oh, he did get a run on the Chevy. Puddle out there. This is going to be interesting. Whew. Let me ease off a little bit. I'm going to look. Like, how do you, it's the same freaking green Chevy. I mean, I know that was, admittedly, again, questionable racecraft on my part, but it's, a little too early. Oh, no, you don't. There you go. Yeah, okay. I'm going to rewind that. I typically don't like doing that. That was bad of me. I am a bad person. I shouldn't have done that. But I'm going to do it again. Actually, I want to get a decent run out of here so I can, play with the rest of the traffic in front of me. But again, this is why, quick around the course, can put decent laps in. But yeah, my racecraft could use some polishing. Just a little too close. But I might be looking at a top 10 after all this. Let's see what we can do. Okay, good decisions, good decisions. Good racecraft, good racing. Alright, let's try and time this again. Yeah, still not quite right. Oh, there you go. Nope, I'm over here. I'm over here now. I'm over here. No, you stupid Penske Porsche. The elbows are definitely out now. Argy bargy. No, but we're going to keep the Peugeot behind me. Yeah, so there's a puddle right there at the apex that after 9 laps I'm now finally seeing. And I'm just going to hold the inside here. I can't hold him off. Or can I? Dude, you have the entire right side lane and you can't make up your mind? Okay, fine. I'll just put it right in the middle. Just gotta brake a little bit more. Good racecraft. Just put just a little cheetah left a little bit from middle. See who takes the bait. Oh, right, Will's taking a look. He's thinking about it. same thing. I'm just going to put it in the middle. See if that confuses the driver tires enough to where I can stay ahead. I think if I can get into the Porsche curves in 9th, well, I'm in 11th now, and I might have a shot at getting the car in front of me for 10th. As long as I don't screw up. Like that. So that is, in slower cars, that's a move I've made. It is a bit of a surprise, so at least my takeaway from this is that's probably not a high percentage pass in this car, on Thursday, depending on depending on who I'm trying to pass. Probably not a good place, not a good pass to make. So try and learn from my mistakes, so I can make all new ones. And yay! Third gear. What am I doing? And late. That's all right. It's the last lap. And that is Le Mans. Again, for sake of stream, for sake of mock race, I did it in the rain. I have no idea what Matt's going to do when we race on Thursday. I mean, he's kind of hinted that rain might be a possibility, and even then, it doesn't necessarily mean. I mean, he might even set the rain race, and it never rains. It depends on how the percentages are set up and what he decides to choose. So with that, and just I'll probably go and see if I don't have a time set in P class at Le Mans, I may go and run a lap, but I think just in my own lapping, my own initial laps before the stream, I ran 3:45.431. So there might be some time still on the table to find there. Might be able to get in the mid-high 44s, might be possible, and it's a really long lap. But with that, that's Le Mans. Should be a fun race. Hopefully I'll be able to get out on track with you guys this week and practice, because I really need practice with humans in the same car. It makes a big difference as far as especially trying to figure out where to pass, how well does the car draft, comers and goers, who brakes where. So I hope to see you guys during practice this week, but I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to shut off the stream. I'm going to probably get ready and go to bed here soon. So hope you guys had a great weekend. We'll see you on Thursday, and happy racing.